Revealed, the incredible lesson my son-in-law learned after 30 days of unexpected changes. Jack Thompson's life revolved around Cedar Creek, a town where hard work meant everything and neighbors were like family. At 45, Jack found joy in the hum of the factory he called home, the laughter of children playing in the streets, and the warmth of a close-knit community. But when his son-in-law, Matt, a polished, suit-wearing corporate consultant, showed up at their doorstep, all smiles but with a hint of desperation, everything changed. Matt had lost his high-paying job and arrived, tail tucked, at Jack's. His city slicker charm felt out of place among the modest lawns and front porches of Cedar Creek. Jack felt a mix of pride and apprehension. What is he doing here, he thought. Once, Matt had looked down on Jack's blue-collar life, and now, that same life was their shared reality. As days passed, Matt struggled. He walked the streets, disdain flickering across his features at the sight of neighborly chats and children riding bikes. While Jack hawked a wave, Matt scoffed, throwing a dismissive glance at the carefree scene. "This is so quaint," he'd mutter, wincing as he tried to chop wood for the fireplace, a task Jack had mastered long ago. It all came to a head at a local fundraiser for the community center. Matt rolled his eyes at the concept but found himself drawn to the camaraderie, a stark contrast to the cutthroat world of corporate glitz. He listened as a veteran shared his story of resilience, his voice trembling with emotion. The room felt charged, filled with raw power and undeniable humanity. Jack watched Matt's face, eyes wide, the wall he built around himself starting to crack. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. Then disaster struck. A storm swept over Cedar Creek, tearing roofs off homes and uprooting trees, leaving families in panic. Matt, fueled by instinct, immediately dialed corporate contacts, thinking of financial aid. But Jack interjected, urgency in his voice. "We need to help the community, not just look for money." In that moment, a fierce internal battle erupted in Matt. Did he abandon the high-pressured life he identified with for the chaos of genuine human connection? He watched Jack rally the neighbors, hands covered in mud, laughter slicing through the fear. Jack was an anchor, unwavering in purpose. As the community banded together under the shared weight of adversity, Matt stood at a crossroads. Could he leave behind the glittering lure of ambition and step into the embrace of something more profound? He felt the pulse of Cedar Creek, a beat of love, family, and belonging tugging at his heart. The choice lay heavy on him, and as he looked around, he realized he wasn't just witnessing a storm, he was witnessing the chance to redefine his life. Days would slip by, but Matt found himself caught between the embrace of a world he'd once dismissed and the glittering mirage of his past life. Would he summon the courage to plunge headlong into the authenticity laid bare before him? A storm had cleared, but another was brewing within. What path would he choose? As the sun peeked through the remnants of the storm clouds, the aftermath lay stretched across Cedar Creek. Debris littered the streets, but there was something vital glimmering beneath the wreckage: hope. Old quilts fluttered from lines stretched between houses, neighbors began to gather, and laughter broke through layers of uncertainty. It was a sight Matt had only seen in movies, not the glossy, gray filter of his old life. Matt watched in disbelief as Jack gripped his neighbor's shoulder, offering words of encouragement. "We'll rebuild," Jack vowed, his voice steady and warm. The others nodded, their spirits lifting. This was more than just reconstruction, it was a resurrection of community. Matt stood to the side, hands instinctively jamming into his pockets. He felt like a ghost in his own story, distant from the hearts beating around him. Yet, the pulse of Cedar Creek beckoned, pulling him closer to the action. Every cheerful shout, every shared laugh, was a swing aimed at the vault of his protective facade. knocking it closer to collapse. As the days rolled on, Matt found himself lingering longer at the local gatherings. With each meal shared, every hand squeezed, he felt a flicker deep inside. There was no corporate ladder to climb, just hands willing to lift each other up. These people didn't need to be polished or perfect, they just needed to be present, but still, doubt crept in. What if this was only a temporary fix? Anxiety tangled with genuine curiosity. He wondered if the joy radiating from Jack and the locals would hold against the march of the outside world. Matt played and replayed old thoughts about ambition and success, both burnished and tainted in his memory. One afternoon, while he helped distribute food at the community center, a little girl approached him, tugging at his shirt. "Are you gonna help us fix my house?" she asked, her doe-like eyes wide with hope. The weight of her question fell like a stone inside him. Her home, his previous definitions of success, and the fragile line between being a provider and a participant velcroed together in a whirlwind. I will," he stammered, the reassurance sounding more like a promise than he expected. He knelt down, meeting her gaze. "We are all going to fix this together." That's when he felt it, the simple decision made with the fiery clarity ambition seldom afforded him. Maybe there was strength in collective struggle, maybe the path he thought he'd chosen was nothing compared to this one. At dinner that evening, Jack caught Matt's eye from across the table. "You're really starting to dig in there, huh?" he said, a twinkle of pride in his voice. The warmth in Jack's smile sank through Matt's defenses, coating him in something he hadn't felt in years, belonging. The warm air filled with stories, laughter, and the clinking of glasses, a surge of emotion bubbled inside Matt. The walls he'd built slowly began to recede. He hadn't made a decision yet, but with each passing moment in Cedar Creek, he was inching closer. Would he surrender his past ambitions and embrace this new reality, or would he risk losing this sense of connection altogether? All he could do now was choose to show up. But as he gazed around the room, the warmth of the community washed over him. There was an open door waiting. What would lie on the other side? In the quiet of his heart, he felt the storm brewing again, not of doubt, but of possibility. What new challenges awaited him, and would he have the strength to face them head-on? The next morning dawned crisp and bright, wrapping Cedar Creek in a fresh layer of hope. Birds chirped, their melodies creating a soundtrack of renewal. Matt rose early, drawn outside by the light spilling through his window. The community's resilience had stirred something deep in him, a longing to be a part of something real and tangible. He joined the gathering at the community center, where a crowd buzzed with energy, its members milling about, still alive with the laughter and joy of the previous nights. Jack was already there, rolling up his sleeves, ready to tackle the day ahead. "You're right on time," he called out as Matt approached. "We've got plenty to do if you're game." "I'm in," Matt replied, feeling an unexpected rush of excitement. He wasn't entirely sure what he was getting into, but the desire to belong washed over him like a warm embrace. They split into teams and fanned out, each group taking on different tasks. Matt found himself with a handful of neighbors, including that little girl from yesterday, Sarah, buzzing with enthusiasm. "We're gonna make my house super cool," she proclaimed, her eyes glittering with energy. "What's the first step?" he asked, bending to meet her gaze. "We need to paint it pink," she declared, her small feet bouncing as if the very idea thrilled her. He chuckled at her passion, realizing that this little girl had managed to be the beacon of inspiration for him that day. As the brushes dipped into vibrant buckets of paint, laughter filled the air. Each stroke of his brush on the dilapidated walls felt like a stroke of healing on his own heart. Matt was surprised at how the vibrant colors seemed to shake off the shadows of his past ambitions, revealing a brighter vision of community and belonging. Hours drifted by, hearts opened, and the sun moved steadily across the sky. By the end of the day, the old house transformed into a cheerful spectacle, with Sarah's laughter ringing through the neighborhood. They stepped back to admire their work, and for a moment, time paused. "I can't believe we did this," she exclaimed, her voice filled with wonder. The joy on her face struck a chord deep within him, a reminder of the beauty found in collaboration and shared dreams. As they packed up, Jack pulled Matt aside. "You did good work today, buddy. You've got a knack for bringing people together." His words were like a warm blanket, wrapping around Matt's heart. But beneath that warmth stirred a flicker of unease. What if this was fleeting? What if Cedar Creek was a bubble that would eventually burst when reality beckoned again? That night, as he lay in bed, the colors of Sarah's house danced behind his eyelids. And in the quiet stillness, he felt the slightest tremor of fear creep in. What happened when the novelty wore off? What about the responsibilities he'd left behind? Could he truly sever the ties to that relentless pursuit of success for this messy, glorious life of connection? He tossed and turned, unable to settle his mind. Maybe freedom wasn't found in chasing accolades, perhaps it was rooted in shared experiences, in the sense of belonging that came with being part of Cedar Creek. As dawn approached, Matt made a resolution. Tomorrow, he would reach out even further, seeking ways to immerse himself in this community. But a troubling notion anchored in the back of his mind: there were stories yet to be uncovered. What if his past came crashing back in unexpectedly? What if he couldn't outrun it? With those thoughts swirling, he drifted off, oblivious to the new challenges awaiting him, feeling the weight of change more than he ever had. The sun rose again over Cedar Creek, casting a golden hue across the horizon. Matt awoke with a new sense of purpose. He threw on his clothes and stepped outside, breathing in fresh air thick with possibility. He was determined to dive deeper into this community, to not just paint a house, but to paint a new canvas for his own life. Breakfast was a bustling affair at the community center. Families gathered, sharing pancakes and fresh fruit, laughter mixing with the sizzling of bacon. Sarah, with a syrupy grin, waved at him from her table, and he felt a jolt of warmth at the sight. This little girl had become a symbol of his newfound determination. "Morning, Matt," came a cheerful voice. Claire, the kind-hearted woman who had organized the painting project. "We're planning a community cleanup today. It'd be great if you could join us." "Absolutely. What's the plan?" he replied, excited by the chance to get even more involved. As the crowd united over breakfast, Matt realized just how interwoven their lives were. He listened to stories of shared struggles, of neighbors helping neighbors, of a community that had weathered storms together. Each tale was a thread, and suddenly, Matt felt he was part of a larger tapestry. But deeper down, a question lingered: what secrets would he unearth today? Once the tables were cleared, they grabbed their trash bags and set out into the neighborhood. The streets buzzed with activity as teams split off, each armed with a mission. Joe, a burly man with a contagious laugh, teamed up with Matt. "Catch that trash before it floats away," he joked, pointing to a piece of debris caught in the breeze. Matt chuckled, but as he picked up litter, his thoughts drifted. He couldn't shake the sense that he had much more to learn. With each piece of trash disposed of, he felt like he was clearing more than just the streets. He was also clearing space in his heart, in his life. They reached a local park, where Matt encountered an elderly man sitting on a bench, staring at a faded photo. Curiosity piqued, Matt approached tentatively. "Is everything okay, sir?" The man looked up, eyes glistening with memories. "Used to bring my wife here. We had so many picnics under that old oak tree," he said, his voice thick with nostalgia. "But she's gone now. It's tough to let go." Matt felt a wave of empathy wash over him. "I'm sorry to hear that. It sounds like you had some beautiful moments together." The man nodded, a touch of sadness lingering, yet a warmth touched his lips. "Life goes on, just like the seasons changing. You just have to find joy in what remains." That phrase struck Matt deeply. Find joy in what remains. He realized that he had been fixated on what he had lost in his past. Maybe it was time to embrace what he still had: this community, these connections, this chance for something new. As they moved on, the tension inside him shifted. The lingering anxiety about what he might be leaving behind began to diminish. And there it was, a flicker of hope. But as they continued cleaning, Matt noticed a familiar face lurking in the shadows, a figure from his past, someone he'd hoped to leave behind. His heart raced. Was this person here to haunt him or teach him? The answer was just ahead, within reach, waiting to unravel. Matt's heart thudded in his chest as he locked eyes with the person who had once been a significant part of his life. It was Ethan, an old friend turned rival, someone he had walked away from to escape old wounds. Ethan stood at the edge of the park, arms crossed, a mixture of wariness and surprise on his face. Time seemed to slow as Matt fought against the wave of emotions crashing over him. There were memories, good and bad, swirling like autumn leaves in the wind, shared laughter, hard nights of competition, and the bitter fallout of a friendship torn apart by jealousy and ambition. The community cleanup faded into the background. Nothing else mattered but that moment. Matt, Ethan finally spoke, voice barely above a whisper. I didn't think I'd see you here. What are you doing in Cedar Creek? Matt responded, his tone more defensive than he intended. Ethan shifted uncomfortably, his gaze flickering to the ground. I moved back. After I lost everything back east, I figured it was time to come home. Matt wanted to feel anger, to ignite the unresolved tension between them, but instead he felt a surprising twist of sympathy. Losing everything was no light burden. I'm sorry to hear that, he said, the sincerity in his voice unexpected even to him. The slight crack in Ethan's armor seemed to loosen the knots inside Matt. They looked at each other, measuring how much had changed. Both men were different now, yet old resentments lurked beneath the surface like weeds in a garden, threatening the growing bond they might forge. Are you here to stay? Matt asked, leaning back slightly, trying to read Ethan's expression. Yeah, for a while. I need to reevaluate some things and maybe start fresh. There was something in Ethan's voice, a hint of vulnerability, as though he were reaching out despite the mistakes of the past. You seem different too. Matt chuckled softly, the tension breaking around them. I'm trying to be. Just then, Joe jogged over, briefly breaking the moment. Hey, Matt. We need your help over by the playground. He glanced at Ethan, recognizing the unspoken history hanging in the air. With a friendly nod, Joe added, you should join us, man. Community work is good for the soul. Matt looked back at Ethan, who hesitated, unsure if he belonged in this reconciliatory space. The moment felt loaded with potential. This could either be a new beginning or another painful reminder of what could never be. Come on, Matt urged, surprising himself again with his own invitation. You might actually enjoy yourself. Let us work side by side, for now. Ethan's eyes widened, reassurance forming on his face. Sure, why not? With some cautious steps, the two crossed the threshold into a new chapter. They picked up trash and shared the light-hearted banter they once had, slowly peeling back layers of their troubled past. Laughter started to crack through the walls. But amidst the newfound camaraderie, a small voice inside Matt whispered ominously. Was he really ready to face the ghosts that accompanied Ethan's return? Just as he thought he could embrace this evolving friendship, a familiar anxiety snaked its way back into his heart. As they continued their task, a shadow of doubt lingered. What if old grievances resurfaced like the weeds they were pulling? What if the journey toward healing unearthed deeper wounds than he was prepared to confront? With those unanswerable questions echoing in his mind, Matt realized that this cleanup day was more than just about trash. It was about digging into his own heart and confronting buried emotions. What lessons lay ahead? He pondered, feeling both exhilarated and terrified. Little did Matt know, the real challenge was just beginning. More than the litter beneath their feet, it was the ghosts of the past that awaited, ready to surface at any moment. Matt and Ethan worked side by side, the rhythm of their hands filling the quiet spaces between them. They bent low, plucking colorful wrappers and soda cans that glinted like lost treasures in the sunlight. The bright day felt surreal, too cheerful for the heaviness they both carried. Yet, with every piece of trash removed, it became a little easier to process their tangled history. Joe was off to the side, engaging with a few other volunteers, laughing easily, and capturing moments on his phone. His laughter flowed like a gentle stream, prompting Matt to feel lighter, even as doubts lingered like a shadow behind him. "You remember that time Ethan started," his voice trailing off as he looked at Matt, hesitating. "Which time?" Matt grinned, feeling a slight relaxation in his shoulders. "The time we thought we'd camp out by the lake and it turned into a total disaster?" Ethan chuckled, his eyes brightening. The memory of that tight-knit group of boys, armed with nothing but snacks and stories, flooded back. "Yeah. I remember you burning the marshmallows, and we ended up with toast instead." The lightness in Matt's voice felt genuine, but a weight surfaced as he recalled the deeper waters that had flowed between them. Ethan nodded, a wry smile touching his lips. "I was always a disaster with cooking, huh?" "I wasn't much better," Matt replied, then paused. "You know, we were kids back then. Everything felt so simple." "That it did," Ethan replied, softness in his voice as he glanced toward the horizon where the sun shimmered, casting a warm glow over the park. "Before everything got complicated." For a moment, they stood in comfortable silence, the bond of shared memories wrapping around them like a blanket. But in the distance, kids shouted with glee, drawing their focus back to the present. Matt's heart caught slightly. Children embodied all that was innocent and untainted, everything he feared he had lost. "Do you think we can get back to that?" Ethan asked suddenly, the earnestness in his voice capturing Matt's attention. "I mean, back to being friends?" It was a bold question, and the implications of it made Matt's stomach flutter. There was a tension in the air, the past lay heavy between them like an unfinished symphony, notes unresolved. Matt wanted to say yes, to rebuild, but the ghosts whispered unbidden warnings. "I don't know, Ethan," Matt said slowly. "It's not that simple. We've both changed." "That's true," Ethan said quietly, almost defeated. "But wouldn't it be nice to try? To see where we land?" Matt felt a rush of conflicting emotions. The thought of breaking down those walls thrilled him, yet, it terrified him just the same. Could they withstand the friction of hurt and betrayal? Could they forge a new path together despite all that had happened? As they continued their work, both men remained lost in their thoughts. Ethan had opened a doorway into a fresh chapter, a tempting notion yet weighed down by uncertainty. Trust was a fragile thing, easily bruised by the past. Just then, a loud commotion erupted nearby, yanking both their thoughts back to the moment. Matt turned sharply, catching sight of Joe. He waved his arms excitedly, gathering everyone's attention. "Hey, everyone! We're having a little contest. Who can clean the most trash in 15 minutes? The winner gets a free lunch at Sam's Grill." Laughter erupted, and the atmosphere shifted. It was silly, but that lightheartedness felt like the perfect distraction. Matt glanced at Ethan, who looked equally intrigued. "Are you in?" Ethan asked, a spark of excitement in his eyes. "I don't know," Matt replied, his smile returning. "There's a lot of trash out here." "Yeah, but there's plenty of junk to get rid of," Ethan grinned, his competitive spirit shining through. "Let us go." In a flash, they were off, racing toward the nearest pile with laughter echoing in their wake. Matt felt a warmth spreading inside him as he chased after memories and possibility, but in the back of his mind, as they ransacked the ground together, the question lingered: what if this contest was a distraction from what truly lay ahead? Would they truly confront their scars, or would they keep running from the real challenge staring them in the face? And as the race against time began, Matt couldn't shake the feeling that something was just about to change for better or for worse. The timer buzzed sharply, snapping Matt back to the frenzy. A cascade of cans and crinkled wrappers sprawled around them like confetti. Both men breathed hard, cheeks flushed with laughter and exertion. The playful competition had ignited an old spark, reminding Matt of late-night escapades filled with banter, something he'd nearly forgotten. 5 minutes left. Joe shouted, clapping his hands and rallying the team. Excitement buzzed through the air, turning the task into a game. Matt dove into a nearby shrub, fishing out a crumpled bag of chips while Ethan grappled with a stubborn soda bottle. "You've got to be kidding me." Ethan laughed, brandishing the bottle like a trophy. "Is this what we've come to? Desperate times call for desperate measures." Matt hollered back, determination firing him up. A wave of adrenaline pushed the tension from earlier to the corners of his mind. With each piece of collected trash, he felt lightness growing. The laughter of the other volunteers surrounded them, creating a sense of camaraderie. The park, usually a place of solitude, now thrummed with life and connection. Matt stole a glance at Ethan, and for a fleeting second, he could almost see the boy he once knew, carefree and full of dreams. The smile they shared ignited a flicker of hope, a fragile, flickering candle amidst the storm of their shared past. As the timer ticked down, they crossed paths more frequently, their hands brushing as they reached for the same piece of trash. Each time, their eyes would lock for a moment. A spark of something unspoken echoed in that glance. Just as the competition was reaching a fever pitch, the timer buzzed again, cutting through their joyous chaos. "Time's up," Joe declared, an infectious grin spread across his face. Matt and Ethan exchanged hurried glances, both panting and holding mismatched piles of litter. The laughter and cheers from around them felt like a sweet balm, easing the weight on Matt's shoulders. "All right, let us see what we've got," Joe announced, starting to tally the fines. "I think we might have a winner here." As everyone took a seat on the picnic benches, Matt felt a shift in the air. They had transformed an ordinary day into a moment bursting with life, a testament to the strength of little victories. But as the applause died down and Joe began calling out names, Matt's heart flickered with doubt. They might have cleaned the park, but what about the mess left unresolved between him and Ethan? Could they sweep away the history that had torn them apart? "Hey, Matt," Ethan called out, dragging him from his thoughts. "You okay?" "Yeah, just thinking," he replied, forcing a smile as Ethan settled next to him. The sincerity in Ethan's gaze stirred something deep within Matt, urging him to let go of the fears holding him back. "About us?" Ethan's voice lowered, resonating with an earnestness that made Matt's heart race. The question hung like a suspended note, waiting for resolution. There was no easy answer, but there was something about this moment, surrounded by laughter and shared effort, that felt hopeful. As everyone around them celebrated, Matt's mind raced. This could be a defining moment, a step toward reconciliation or yet another misstep. It all depended on what he dared to say next. "Ethan," he began, his voice steady but edged with uncertainty. "I think we need to talk, really talk." The gravity of his words settled between them, thickening the air. In that hush, the world around them faded, leaving only the beat of their unresolved rhythms. Would this be the day they started mending the pieces, or was it just a fleeting spark before the darkness returned? The questions clung to Matt's mind, igniting his curiosity about what might come next. Matt's heartbeat quickened as he caught the intensity in Ethan's gaze. The world around them faded even more, the celebrations of their friends blurring into the background. There was only this moment, fraught with emotions and unspoken words hanging in the air. "Yeah," Ethan replied, taking a deep breath. "I think we need to talk too." His voice was soft yet firm, a reminder of the boyish confidence that once defined him. The edges of vulnerability were evident as Ethan leaned slightly closer, a silent invitation to bridge the gap between their past and present. "Look," Matt started, trying to gauge Ethan's expression. He could feel the weight of years pressing down on them, years filled with silence and unresolved issues. "I know things haven't been easy. We let too much time slip by." Ethan nodded, glancing down at his hands for a moment. "Yeah, we did, and I hate that it has to be this way." "Why did we let that happen?" Matt swallowed hard. "I guess I was scared," he confessed. The admission came out as a whisper, barely above the sounds of laughter nearby. "Scared of what I might lose if I tried to reach out." Scared you didn't want anything to do with me anymore. Ethan's eyes softened. You didn't think I felt the same? I always wanted to fix things between us. But I figured you were done with me. Matt's chest tightened. You were my best friend. But we were young, and life hit us hard. I didn't know how to come back from it. I thought I was protecting you. By shutting me out? Ethan's voice rose slightly, an edge of hurt slipping in. The tension in Matt's stomach twisted tighter. You weren't protecting anyone. You were just pushing me further away. A hollow silence enveloped them, each man wrestling with the truths they had just revealed. The realization that both had been waiting, silently yearning for the other to take that first step hung heavily in the air. Matt looked around at their friends, at the remnants of laughter and joy that had just filled the park. I don't want to lose this. I don't want to lose you again. Can we try to figure this out? The vulnerability in his voice took him by surprise, and for the first time in a long while, he felt hope glimmering on the edges of his heart. I want that, Ethan whispered, his eyes reflecting Matt's yearning. But it's going to take time. I know, Matt replied, relief washing over him. There was a long road ahead, but finally, they were both on it together. But as their moment of clarity began to settle, brightened by frail possibilities, a commotion erupted nearby. People were gathering around a small stage set up in the park, curious whispers cutting through the air. What's happening? Matt asked, turning toward the source of the noise. Was something else about to unfold? Would this new distraction ruin the moment, or could it potentially give them the backdrop for a renewed connection? I don't know, but let's check it out. Ethan said, excitement bubbling in his voice, pulling Matt along with him, their burdens momentarily forgotten. As they approached the crowd, anticipation joined the unease already stirring within Matt. What lay ahead, the revelation or distraction, held the promise of either mending old wounds or igniting new challenges. Would they find answers, or would the celebration only deepen the complexity of their reunion? The stage loomed ahead, ready to reveal whatever twists fate had in store for them next. As they pushed through the throng of eager spectators, Matt's heart raced for a different reason now. Excitement crackled in the air while laughter drifted from the crowd, underscored by murmurs of curiosity. Ethan squeezed his hand, and Matt felt a familiar warmth spread through him, melting away the tension of their earlier conversation. The stage was framed with colorful lights that twinkled like stars against the evening sky. A local band was setting up, and the lead singer had just stepped up to the mic, a huge grin plastered on his face. All right, folks. We've got a special treat for you tonight. His voice boomed over the audience, drawing cheers and claps. What is this? Matt wondered aloud, his attention glued to Ethan. Do you think it's just a concert? Ethan shrugged, eyes sparkling. Whatever it is, it looks fun. Let's enjoy a break for a minute. Just then, the lead singer continued, we have some amazing stories to share, too. Up first is a friend who's learned a thing or two about life and love over the past month. Let's give a warm welcome to Riley. The crowd erupted into applause as a young woman took the stage. Matt and Ethan exchanged glances, intrigued. Riley had a vibrant energy, wearing a bohemian dress adorned with colors of summer. As she took the mic, her cheeks flushed with adrenaline, she began speaking passionately about her personal journey. I spent 30 days focusing on what truly matters in my life. It was eye-opening, she said, capturing the audience. Each day, I committed to loving myself, reaching out to friends and family in ways I hadn't before, and even trying things I had always been afraid of. A small group cheered her on, and Matt was swept away by her honesty. He couldn't help but think about his own struggles with vulnerability. As Riley recounted her experiences, the fear of rejection, the joy in reconnecting with long-lost friends, and the beautiful surprises she encountered, Matt felt a flicker inside him, a recognition. The lessons she shared were strikingly similar to the hurdles he and Ethan faced. Life is too short. We need to embrace every moment, she urged, a fierce determination in her voice. It's about taking risks, showing up for the people we care about, and understanding that it's never too late. Matt turned to Ethan, his eyes wide. Maybe this is what we needed, he murmured, excitement mixing with apprehension. Ethan nodded, his gaze glued to Riley. Yeah, it's a sign, he breathed. We could learn a lot from her. As Riley ended her speech with a challenge to the audience, inviting everyone to reach out to someone they missed or loved, Matt felt electric. The urge to be braver, to truly connect, surged through him. What if they stepped up? What if they shared their own stories? The crowd was buzzing with energy, conversations igniting around him, but all Matt could focus on was the possibility of taking that leap. Ethan, he started, unsure but hopeful. What if we? But before he could finish, the audience erupted into applause once more, and Matt's heart sank at the thought of losing this chance. It's now or never, he whispered to himself, but could he be brave enough to follow through? Would Ethan be willing to, when the moment came to take that leap? As Riley smiled and waved, the uncertainty loomed large over Matt's heart, tugging at him. He wanted to fill the silence that had haunted them with hope, but the fear of what came next threatened to hold him back. Would he step forward, and would he and Ethan seize the moment, or would they let it slip away once again? As Riley stepped down from the stage, a buzz of excitement crackled in the crowd. Matt felt fire in his chest. The words she spoke were not just rallying cries, they resonated deeply within him. He realized this was his moment, a chance to leap from uncertainty into the light of connection. Ethan, he murmured, the urgency spilling out. We have to tell our story. Ethan's eyes met his with a mixture of surprise and anticipation. Are you serious? He whispered incredulously, the weight of the moment anchoring them both. Yeah. What if we stepped up there? What would it feel like to share everything? To really be honest about us? Matt's heart raced. It was as if Riley had lit a match in his soul, igniting a blaze of courage he'd never known. Ethan hesitated, uncertainty shadowing his features. What if we screw it up? What if people don't want to hear it? That's exactly why we should. Because they might. People want to connect. Matt's voice held a fervor that surprised him. This was a chance to not only mend a bond but to face their past together, stripped of pride and hesitation. As the audience continued to chatter, their excitement palpable, Matt could see a flicker of determination shine in Ethan's eyes. All right. Let us do it, he said, stepping closer to the stage. Together. With an unyielding sense of purpose, they strode toward the platform, adrenaline surging in their veins. The moment felt electric. Matt's heart echoed in time with his thoughts, pulsating loudly in his ears. As they reached the edge of the stage, the atmosphere shifted. The crowd fell into a hushed awe, curiosity knitting their brows. Waving his hands for attention, Matt took a deep breath and began. Hey everyone. We're not performers, but we have something to share. Ethan nodded beside him, the vulnerability written across his face. We've been friends since we were kids, but somewhere along the way, we lost each other. We let ambition get in the way and missed out on what really mattered. Matt continued, his voice steady despite the nerves coursing through him. It took losing everything to realize that real success isn't about the title you hold or the money you make. It's about the bonds you build. He gestured to the crowd. It's about this being here, right now, with all of you. Ethan stepped closer to the edge, heat rising in his cheeks. I've wrestled with my own mistakes. I hurt Matt when I walked away, and I thought winning was everything. But the truth is, we both forgot about friendship. And we need each other. A ripple of murmurs surged through the crowd, heads nodding in agreement and recognition. Today, we're here to say it's never too late to reach out, to reconnect. To embrace who we are, both as friends and as part of this amazing community. Matt felt a wave of warmth ripple through him as applause erupted from the audience. It's about facing the past and taking steps toward healing, Ethan added, his voice rising with a newfound confidence. One small step can change everything. Matt's heart swelled with pride at Ethan's words. Standing on that stage, they were no longer just broken fragments of a friendship, they were whole again, breathing life back into each other and their lost connection. The crowd erupted in cheers, their encouragement buoying them up. Feeling electrified, they stepped off the stage together. Cheers continued to ring in their ears as they landed back on solid ground. Laughter danced between them, and it felt as if the air had transformed, charged with newfound enthusiasm and possibility. Did we really just do that? Ethan grinned, a mix of disbelief and joy washing over his face. Yeah. And it felt amazing. Matt laughed, the lightness in his heart rivaling the sun above them. They had finally crossed a threshold, recognizing the strength in vulnerability. As the evening wore on, people approached them, sharing their own stories of reconnection and healing inspired by what Matt and Ethan had shared. Each story strengthened their bond further, weaving together memories like stitches closing wounds of the past. Laughter and shared experiences flowed freely, creating an atmosphere of togetherness that made Matt's heart swell. The storm within had passed, revealing a sky brimming with hope. As the night deepened, surrounded by friends and community, Matt glanced at Ethan. There were no more ghosts looming between them, that chapter had closed. They stood united, ready to face whatever lay ahead, together, emboldened by the clarity that comes from vulnerability. Matt realized they could rebuild not just their friendship, but the promises they made to themselves and the community at large. "Let us keep building bridges," Ethan said softly, glancing around at the gathering, joy sparking in his eyes. "Together, we can face anything." "Absolutely," Matt responded, their eyes locking in solidarity. "Here's to new beginnings." As laughter and music danced around them, all that mattered was the promise of tomorrow and the beauty of moving forward, beating as one with the heart of Cedar Creek. This was just the beginning. Now, it's your turn to take action. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that can transform your life. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm because it really helps us. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this heartfelt ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. The moment is now to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of being part of this journey with us.